All right. So today we are talking about scatter plots. This is really one word. Scatter plots. First, please make sure that you have your Desmos opened up so you're typing, you're writing, you're taking notes and following along with us. So a scatter plot is used to see the relationship between two variables. When we compare two variables, we put them on a graph. So what you're going to see is you've got your x or your independent value, your y or your dependent value, and you're just going to see lots of little dots that are put on that graph. Within those dots, you're going to see a line that goes through them, about through like what the middle would be. And that line is called a line of best fit. That line of best fit, it's also called a trend line, is drawn through the center of a group of data. It's kind of like an average. All those dots are really, really close to that line. That's how I know it's through the middle. That's how I know it's my line of best fit. If I drew a line like this, that's through the middle, but are those dots close to that line? No. The line of best fit should be as close to touching all of those points as possible. Next is the word correlation. The correlation is used to determine how strong the relationship is. The closer the points are to the line, the stronger that relationship. So like this example I drew up here, all of those dots are really close to my line. So that's going to have a strong correlation. We'll see some examples that have weak or no correlation. Why do we use scatter plots? We use scatter plots to predict data. Maybe I want to know what the information would be like for this point over here. But my line, my dots, they don't go that far. So what I could do is I could extend that line up imaginary, and I can keep drawing out that line. And then that point where those two things meet, that would be a good prediction of what number would be way out there for my data. So go ahead, pause this video if you need to, get all those vocabulary words written down, and then go ahead and go on to the next slide. All right, our next slide, we're talking about types of correlation. Remember that word correlation? That's how strong my data is, how close the points are to the line of best fit or the trend line. I'll be right back. You write that down. I need to go grab a piece of spaghetti. I'll be right back. I promise. Where's my spaghetti? Got it. All right. So if we were in person, you would all be having a little piece of spaghetti that we were going to use to help us figure out our line of best fit. So I like to break off some piece of spaghetti to help me figure out the correlation. And we're talking about correlation, we need to think way back to when we were talking about slope, because the type of correlation is going to be based on the type of slope that we see with our data. Remember, positive slope increases from left to right. Increases, it goes up if it's puff, puff, positive. If it goes down, if it decreases from left to right. Remember, that's nice, negative with the slope guy. And sometimes our points are just going to be all over the place and there's no good line to go through our data. And so we're going to say that has no correlation to it. So taking a look at this first line, remember, I want to move my little piece of spaghetti, my trend line, through the middle. Again, this is through the middle, but are my dots close to it? No. I want to move my line so that I have as many dots as possible touching my trend line. So this line right here where my spaghetti is, that would be a really good line of best fit. And if I look at this line of best fit, is that positive or negative slope for that trend line? Positive. My line is going up. So that would have a strong positive correlation. Strong positive correlation. Looking at my next line, what direction are my dots going? My dots are going down. They're decreasing as I go from left to right. Again, a line like this, yeah, that's the middle, but my dots are not close to my line. I want my dots close to my line of best fit. So what kind of slope does this trend line have? It has a negative slope. It would have a negative correlation. It's pretty strong though. Those dots are really close to my line. Pretty strong. Not as strong as this first one. That first one was a really good, very strong, very positive. This one's a negative line. Not as strong as the first. And then taking a look at this last one. If my spaghetti's there, there's still a lot of dots that aren't touching it. Same thing if I go up here this way, still a lot of dots not touching it. Here, when there's no good place to put your spaghetti, we say that has no correlation. No correlation. There's no good place for me to put my spaghetti. There's no one line that is like an average that's going to sum up that data. That's really hard to predict with. So if we slide on down, now there's a you try. Go ahead, pause the video and tell me, write down, is that no correlation, positive correlation, negative correlation? What are each of those? All right. Hopefully you saw that this ugly, just bunches of dots all over the place, there is no correlation there. It kind of looks like the chocolate chips in a cookie. They're spread out all over the place. Here, I see my spaghetti fits real nice right there, where I have a negative correlation. My line is decreasing from left to right. Negative correlation, my line's going down. And this last one, the line was drawn in there for us. That's kind of nice. And I noticed that my points are increasing. So that means I have a positive slope. A positive correlation there. Go ahead, make any additional notes that you need to. And then if you're ready, go ahead and go on to the next slide. Go ahead and go to the next video and we're going to talk about that line of best fit.